Donald Trump going on the offensive against Robert F. Kennedy Jr. In a 4-minute video posted to Truth Social last night, Trump ripped the independent presidential candidate, accusing him of lying about being anti-vaccine. He's not enough of an anti-vaxxer, according to Donald Trump. This comes as recent polls show Kennedy taking a sizable bite away from both Trump and President Biden in several battleground states. Here is some of that new video from Trump.
So Republicans, get it out of your mind that you're going to vote for this guy because he's conservative. He's not. And for those of you that want to vote because you think he's an anti-vaxxer, he's not really an anti-vaxxer. That's only his political moment. I'd even take Biden over Jr. because our country would last about a year or two longer than it would with Jr. It would collapse almost immediately, and his family, a radical left, a crazy left, a bunch of lunatics, would take over, and our country will die very quickly. So RFK's views on vaccines are fake, as is everything else about his candidacy. He is not a Republican, so don't think you're going to vote for him and feel good.
Claire, he's never been good at hiding his fear, and now we see it out in the open. He is very worried about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., saying he is not anti-vax enough. Don't believe what he's saying. I'm the real anti-vaxxer here. By the way, we should point out that Donald Trump's administration led Operation Warp Speed, which was a medical miracle, thank God, to get the vaccine into the arms of people and save lives. So what do you see in that video?
Yeah, remember when Trump still talked about developing the vaccine at rallies and he got booed, and he finally figured out that this is a place that the cult was not going to go with him on how quickly he claimed he developed a vaccine during the pandemic. Yeah, he's worried. He's worried. I thought the part of the clip that was astounding to me says he's better. Biden is better than Bobby Jr. He actually said Biden is better. That's interesting that he would do that. I think that was a momentary fail in his normal way of communicating. I think both Biden and Trump are worried about RFK. Now, and I think as this goes on and Bobby Kennedy gets more and more exposed for some of the crazy town stuff he's said, for his, frankly, not being upfront about some of his issues in his life, I think he will fade, but people need to remember this is an election where nobody likes, well, most people don't like their choices. And that's just it's not an abnormal thing. You know, there's a lot of people, by the time election rolls around in presidentials, they will say to you, I've heard it 1,000 times, I don't like either one of the candidates. So having a third party name out there that people recognize is a danger to both of these guys.
Yeah, and Gene Robinson, we simply don't really know yet who RFK Jr. hurts more. Polls suggest he's drawing from both. Early on, it seemed more Biden. These days, a little more Trump, but it's still an issue for both. So we see that Trump has gone after him in that video. I'm just amazed he didn't mention the brain worm. You know, exactly. The Biden campaign has also done the same, pointing out some of RFK Jr.'s rather inflammatory statements. So weigh in on that. And also, what you see is the Biden campaign's current strategy against Trump, where they're taking this moment here, early spring, akin to what Obama did to Romney in 2012, and just saturating the airwaves with ads, really trying to define this race as early as it can, with the moment where Donald Trump is stuck in the Manhattan courtroom.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, first on RFK Jr., I just don't. That was really weird. I thought of Trump. First of all, it's a weird line of attack to try to convince people that RFK Jr. is not really an anti-vaxxer. I mean, he is the anti-vaxxer, right? He is more anti-vax than certainly anybody else who's anywhere near this race, and so that just doesn't that rings hollow. And I wonder if the Trump campaign thinks it has some soundings out there in some of the swing states that maybe he's hurting Trump too much. Maybe he's hurting Trump more than he's hurting Biden, and because that had a whiff of panic about it. It was really very strange. On the Biden strategy, yeah, I mean, they've got this sort of open field right now, and so the president is running around, and his surrogates are running around trying to talk about the administration's accomplishments, trying to talk about the danger of reelecting Donald Trump, and so I think that's really the thing for them to be doing. Of course, there are issues. There are lots of things that President Biden has to be worrying about right now, including Israel, Palestine, and the war in Gaza, and splits in the Democratic coalition over that. But I think he's doing what he needs to do. I do have a side question about for Lemire, which is, what is the deal with your Celtics? Boy, they stunk up the joint last night.
I'll do that real quick. Thanks, Gene, for bringing that up. This is who they are. They're so inconsistent. They can't handle prosperity. They don't seem to have a killer instinct. The second straight round, they've lost a game 2 at home. They're under 500 at home in the playoffs over the last couple of years. It is infuriating. I still think they'll get through this series, but they're making it harder on themselves, is the bottom line.
Yeah. Oh, my Lord. Well, in a political week where I'm trying to even encapsulate the things that happened this week, from worms and brains to satin pajamas to spankings with Forbes magazines. Why don't we just go to RFK Jr.'s position on abortion? So in an interview this week, RFK Jr. said he does not support the government putting limitations on abortion, even with full-term pregnancy.
I wouldn't leave it to the states.
You wouldn't, right?
No, I would.
You would say completely. It's up to the woman.
I believe we should leave it to the woman. We shouldn't have government involved.
Even if it's full term.
Even if it's full term.
Okay, and I think that's what I wanted to clarify.
Yeah, I'd like a little clarification on that, too. The policy position goes further than even most Democrats and seemed to surprise his vice presidential pick, Nicole Shanahan, who, when she appeared on the actual same podcast.
I spoke to Bobby about this, and at the end of the day, he says, yes, this is a woman's choice, period. And I said, even up till birth? And yes was his answer.
No. And that is not Bobby's position as I understand it. My understanding with Bobby's position is that, every abortion is a tragedy.
Yes.
Is a loss of life. My understanding is that he absolutely believes in limits on abortion. And we've talked about this. I do not think, I don't know where that came from.
Wow, it's a significant change in position for RFK Jr. In August of last year, candidate told NBC News he would sign a national abortion ban after the first 3 months of pregnancy. His campaign later walked back his statement on legislation banning abortion. And Nicole Shanahan is an interesting figure in all of this. And coming up in the 9 o'clock hour of Morning Joe, Joanna Coles of the Daily Beast, they have a piece on her and her financial influence potentially on the overall election. So we'll get to that coming up. But let's back up a little bit and talk about this stance on abortion that RFK put out there. Claire McCaskill, this to me seems like one of 3 major issues in this election that could put people over the edge in terms of their decision on who they vote for. What did RFK just do for himself there?
Well, he showed how unserious he is as a candidate. Mika, there are candidates all across this country right now running for state representative and running for county council that are thinking about this issue and searching themselves about what they believe the role of government should be in reproductive health care. And, this is not an easy issue for many people because people feel so strongly about it. But it's not one where anybody with their right mind would be changing their position like you change your shirt. And it appears to me that Bobby Kennedy is searching for, quote unquote, the right answer. I mean, these are the kind of mistakes that a candidate for the lowest office in the country might make. But somebody who's putting themselves out there that they are in a position to lead, for him to say 1 month, I'm for an abortion ban, a national abortion ban, and then the next months say, hey, yeah, I think a full-term abortion is fine. I don't think the state should have anything to say about that. It just shows that he's not a serious candidate. And frankly, I don't know what has motivated him to do this, but he's not in a position to hold the highest office in this country, period, end of discussion.
And even worse, Jonathan Lemire, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. definitely is the kind of guy who takes off his shoes and his socks sitting next to you on an airplane, as evidenced by his position in this interview. Just don't do that. There's no need. There's no need for that.
Nope.
So, John, let's talk. You mentioned it a minute ago, but how seriously the Biden campaign is taking Robert F. Kennedy Jr. As you say, it's kind of hard to figure out who he's pulling from. Obviously, Donald Trump is worried about Bobby Kennedy Jr. here and the kind of voter that he might take from Donald Trump. But how is the Biden campaign assessing the threat? Because as we've seen in polls even just this week, he's polling pretty high into the double digits, 14%, 18% in some of these swing states.
Yeah. First of all, I'm glad that we have a shoes on policy here at Morning Joe. Although we should know, not everybody has socks on all the time. I won't name names. I think we all know. I think we all know. But yes, on this one, here, there's this concern. First of all, the Biden campaign has really ramped up their operations going after third-party candidates. I mean, they take it seriously. Even Cornel West, Jill Stein, who are barely picking up in the polls, but it's a point here, point there in a race this close. Even they matter. But they're mostly focused on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And I think there's just a sense that low-information voters see the Kennedy last name and go, "Oh, wow, of course, his father, his uncle, that's what I'm for." And he may lose some votes there, particularly in communities right now, like African-American communities, where the Biden campaign has struggled some. So they're really doing their best and spending a lot of money even, sort of making sure the voters know what he really stands. But I think there's a growing sense, Willie, in Wilmington, that RFK Jr. probably poses more of a threat to Trump. It pulls from both, to be sure, but maybe more of an issue for Trump. And that's why we're seeing these videos and other attacks from the presumptive Republican nominee.